For some crazy reason, perimenopause and menopause get thrown in the same bag when they're not even close to being the same thing. The reason why perimenopause is just so intense is because 20 years after we get our first period, our ovaries begin producing less estrogen and less progesterone. For 20 years, our bodies were used to a certain level of progesterone and estrogen, and then those two hormones begin to go down. And even though we don't feel any of these body symptoms as soon as we turn 35, it's just a matter of time until our bodies realizes that we're not getting the same amount of estrogen and progesterone. Life would be so much easier if we were taught from a young age how to prepare our hormones, our bodies, for when we start producing less estrogen and progesterone. And we're not doing that. This entire perimenopausal phase will last anywhere from 10 to 15 years. That's a freaking long time to have a constant drop of estrogen and progesterone, feeling any 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, or 40 symptoms. 10 to 15 years is too long to struggle with perimenopause. And on the other hand, we compare 10 to 15 years with any or all of these 40 perimenopausal symptoms to menopause. Menopause is only 12 months without a period. That's it. The ovary is retired. There is no more hormone drop. There's a huge difference. 10 to 15 years, 12 months. We need to talk about perimenopause. Out of curiosity, I went on Facebook just to see how many perimenopausal groups we have. We only have 34 in English worldwide. Not enough. Because that number is so low, I went on Instagram just to get an idea of how many #perimenopause, whatever I would find. Please compare that number to kittens and puppies. It's crazy. The reason for these videos is to share the experience of different women from around the world and talking to professionals and experts from different parts of the world to get to know their approach, their expertise, their knowledge on perimenopause. And we can get all of those things together and we can make perimenopause an easier transition for the younger generations, for all the women behind us. They don't need to go through this. If they only know what this is about, what to expect, how to prepare, and who to reach out to. So if I can count on your voice for all of us to be louder, please like, subscribe to the channel, or share. Sharing will get the conversation started, and that is what we need to do. When I was trying to find out how many people were talking about perimenopause on Instagram, I found Melinda. I want you to meet her. She is a kinesiologist. She's from the UK. This is her website. This is her Instagram page. Follow her. It makes life a lot easier when you know who to go to. Melinda is only a click away, and you will watch her talk and you'll see what I mean. So here we go. Let's meet Melinda.
There's different types of kinesiology, and I think as well there's the muscle testing, what I do, but then you've also got the kinesiology where it's the taping of the muscles. So people get confused with regards to, things like osteopaths and chiropractors that tape up for muscles. So I do systematic kinesiology. And the way that we work, we use muscle testing to find out any imbalances in the body. So what we do is we look what we call 4 realms that we cover. So we will look at nutritional deficiencies. We will see if there's any emotional blockages. We will see if there's any structural issues in the point of view of that we will look at muscle, skin, hair, nails, not in the same way as an osteopath or a chiropractor would look at someone structurally. And the 4th one is any energetical blockages. So it's very similar to traditional Chinese medicine in that we use the same meridians and look at the same emotions that are linked to different organs. So we look at the same kind of links from that point of view. So when we are looking at a person, we do look at them as a whole, because as we said earlier, everything is interlinked. So it's impossible for someone to say, I have this, and you look at one particular realm or area, because everything's interlinked and everybody is different. They found that there was an energy pathway connection between a muscle and an organ. So when you muscle test and it's unable to hold its strength, so to speak, then we know there's an imbalance in that area. So it's almost like a way for the body and the subconscious to talk to both of us, to me and the client, because a lot of the time the client's not consciously aware of what's going on. So when it comes to things like perimenopausal or menopause, but more in that gradual, is from a nutritional point of view, is it's very important to look at what you're eating. Your worst enemy is sugar or anything that upsets your blood sugar balance, because that will affect your hormones in every possible way. So whether it will be the insulin, which is like a hormone, or whether it's your progesterone or your estrogen, you want to, way before you even start perhaps even being aware that you're going to perimenopause, is that you want to keep that balance. So it's about avoiding processed food. It's about eating naturally, if you see what I mean, as in with regards to what's grown, not that what's man-made, they say what's God's made, you know, kind of all the pure food you best want to be able to eat. So that's the first area of things, because then if you're not eating properly, then you can have nutritional deficiencies, and then that can have an effect on your entire body. You need your gut to be in the right balance. And then there's the emotional point of view. So when we as women, I think, go through perimenopause, or we feel that those changes are taking place, yes, they can be happening because our hormones are out of balance, because it 100% will affect how we feel and what we're feeling. But also from an emotional point of view, I work a lot with limiting beliefs and low self-worth and anxiety, which we can feel all of those when we're going through perimenopause. So it's about learning to accept yourself as you are and the changes that are taking place. So it's so important to be able to learn self-acceptance, because a lot of the times we're programmed that we need to be a certain way, look a certain way, and that as women get older, they're not seen as much. And I think that's changing gradually a lot more now, but it's about being okay with going through that change from a perception of yourself point of view, if that makes sense. Because in way back when, it would be more about, we would always respect older women. They'd be wise and look up to them, and they would be, you know, the head of the tribe. And I think so much now it's about looking perfect and looking young. So it's more about being more accepting of who you are as you go through that stage. I think what needs to happen, especially whether it will be in schools or parents, is being a lot more open from when children, especially women, are young. And I think what we need to do is be much more open about our cycles, be open about how we feel. I think it's important for girls to maybe hear their mothers or females or teachers to be very open about their cycles and how they feel, and to respect their bodies and feel into the bodies the way that we move through the seasons, because that's how we move as women. We move as if through the seasons, and we move with the moon. And I think it's becoming more in touch with themselves as women or as a female, and for that to be an open conversation when they're younger, so it's not such a shock or a taboo. And then we can kind of encompass how eating well and self-love and looking after themselves in that way. So it's not going to be a big shock, or they're going to have issues with periods or menopause, or be completely, it's like, oh, it's here. What's that? If you have daughters or nieces or friends or anyone that's going through it, support them, let them know there are alternatives, that there is no right and wrong. They don't have to follow. They don't have to follow other people. It's okay to be different. It's amazing to be different, I think. But when you're at that younger age, you're trying to be all the same, you're trying to fit in, aren't you? And I think it's important to know that it's special to be individual, it's special to be yourself. And I think that's so important when you get to perimenopause, and that it's passed down. Because people learn more from actions than they do from what you say. And I think if they see you embracing who you are and what you're going through, then that will filter down if everybody starts to do it. An individual who is struggling with their hormones with regards to perimenopause, the way that we look at it is that we would work within that meridian and to see if there's any nutritional deficiencies that might be affecting or taking those hormones out of balance. Because as we go into perimenopause, our estrogen levels drop, but it's not just about increasing those estrogen levels. It's about having the progesterone and the estrogen balanced. So again, we would look at supplementation to help with that. We look at diet to help with that. But then we would also see if there's any emotional blockages that are attached to that as well. So with regards to obesity and sugar, I do think diet can make such a difference with regards to before the perimenopause happens. In the way I'm hoping, I don't know whether genetically I'm lucky that I haven't had any symptoms yet, or is it because I've been good with my diet? I don't know. That's why everybody's so different. You have to look at everyone as an individual, because it's very difficult to do a sweeping statement. Gluten doesn't work for a lot of people because it can cause inflammation in the gut, and they say that white bread actually increases your blood sugars quicker than just normal table sugar. So it's not even that sugar is just a bad thing. It's anything that those kind of simple carbohydrates that can shoot your insulin up and your blood sugars up. And it just sends, because it is actually a hormone with regards to your blood sugars and your insulin. So it's really important to keep that level. And it's things like getting, as you said, all the nutrients of things like nuts and seeds. I always tell people to have flaxseed every day. I have flaxseed, 2 tablespoons every day in my breakfast. You can get it from other foods, nuts, green, leafy vegetables, things like that. Just to really get everything in balance, you just got to have all of your vitamin and minerals in balance. It really helps with the hormones. Everything is energy, and kinesiology is all about energy work. Even though we're actually doing muscle testing, we are connecting with regards to the energy in the body. So the meridians that we will use are like the energy pathways of the body. And they are so important to be in balance for health, well-being, mentally, emotionally. Then you have energy centers, which is also connect into these energy highways and what are more likely known as chakras. And so we can hold a lot of emotions and blockages in those different areas. And so, of course, the one related to that is the sacral for women, because that's where that's connected to the sexual organs, is just below the navel. And this has everything to do with how you perceive yourself sexually, how you connect with your body, how you feel comfortable with your body. It's connected with addictions, whether it be food, sex, alcohol, any of those kind of things. And just how you perceive sex and yourself as a sexual being. So all of these different energy areas of your body are so important with regards to your physical well-being and your emotional well-being, and of course of yourself energetically. It does happen a lot. Nutritionally, with regards to trying to bring more moisture into the area, with regards to help with the dryness, you would be looking at different kind of supplements that can really help with that. Also, you can get probiotics that bring more moisture into that area as well, specifically into the vagina. So yes, it could help with regards to how they feel about themselves as women, kind of connecting to that feminine side of themselves and connecting to that sexual side of themselves. But then again, you'll be looking at the physical side to try and help bring that moisture back in as well. So again, it's always mind, body and soul, having to look at all the areas as much as possible to realign them into that. Yeah, so again, we would use the muscle testing to find out where their imbalances are. So as you said, it can be sometimes the estrogen's low, the progesterone's high, or whichever way it is, we need to rebalance them both. And so we use muscle testing to find out what that imbalance is for that particular person, and then use the relevant supplement that would help them do that. So when we are feeling those anxious feelings, it can be that we are ungrounded, and by going through that meditation and connecting with the earth and the energy of the earth just really helps you ground you, and it takes away those anxious feelings. So a lot of the times when if people are feeling anxious, it will be because of certain beliefs that they're feeling, or anything that they may perceive about themselves. Kind of age when you're going through perimenopause, menopause, it's also this kind of age in that if you're going to start moving more to the spiritual side, it kind of happens at this kind of age. And so I find that a lot more people are more open with regards to energy and their spirituality, meditation, or just taking space to just stop and feel into how you're feeling and just honor what you're feeling. I think we're so trained to push through, push through this feeling, push through that hot flush, push through that anxiety, instead of just feeling into what is going on, what does my body need. I think if people would really take the time to connect with themselves, how they feel, what their body's doing, how do they feel when they eat a certain food, like really connect with themselves, have a moment for yourself and honor what you're going through and give yourself that space. And if you need time to rest for an hour, or if you need, a half-hour nap in the afternoon, because you can get really tired when your hormones all over the place. I think it's about not being so hard on yourself and really diving in deep to that self-acceptance, that self-love, and honoring what you're going through, and not see it as an awful bad thing, though it can feel like that with the symptoms, but that you're not weak and you're not failing. It's just your body's going through a process, and just learn as much as you can, which is amazing why you're doing this, is people can watch this and learn what they can do to help themselves through that process, but just really connect within and feel what they need. I mean, my whole journey started is because I had a miscarriage in 2012, And it knocked me for six, absolutely knocked me for six. And I was looking at with regards to what help there was, and of course with the hormones and things like that, out of like, there wasn't hardly anything there to support. It can happen for women if they're going through the perimenopause, that perhaps they wanted children, it never happened for them. They may feel a kind of grieving process in that that opportunity is gone now, if that makes sense. And that can be quite hard for perimenopausal people, for women to feel like it's an end of a chapter, that perhaps it's something that they never achieved. But it doesn't mean they're any less of a woman. It doesn't mean that the people that had children are better than them. I think it's just honoring the journey you've been through. But I just think it's all about self-acceptance, all about self-acceptance. I would 100% get them off processed food and look at what they're eating. I would look at clearing any kind of limiting beliefs that they may have in place with regards to their programming, like how they perceive themselves, looking at their self-worth, what needs to clear from that point of view. And just really clear any energetical blockages, any emotional blockages that they might have picked up from their surroundings, and then start to reframe. And I say reprogram, it sounds a bit awful, but you can use like hypnosis and kinesiology techniques so that they start to perceive themselves in a different way and in a positive light, and in a way that they are accepting of themselves before they even start to go into this phase. It's just all about self-love and self-acceptance. So that's how I would set them up, is clearing all that old stuff away and start getting them to see themselves as they truly are, and that it's okay to be exactly as you are and not try and be like anyone else, which we have a tendency to try and do when we're younger. Really important that people share their journey, isn't it? Because it always helps someone else, or someone else connects to it and go, oh yeah, no, I get that.